Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining the webinar from manual banking to financial automation, where we're going to explain how OneHub can solve your financial problems with related to the ERP integration and the bank, and have one centralized platform to manage all the transactions that you want. My name is Samin, and I'll be your host for today. And with me, I have Praveen, who is the product owner of OneHub. And we'll start with the agenda for today. Uh, so I will give you an introduction to OneHub, and then followed up with the introduction, I will show you a demonstration where we have done an integration with the Business Central, the ERP system, and how the payments are then being approved via an email. And followed up with that, you can ask questions from us. We will have a Q&A session on OneHub, and then right after the Q&A session, we will also show how you can simply prototype and build your own software using AI for any requirement that you have. And then we will do a demonstration on that as well. And you can ask any questions with related to the custom software as well from after the custom software capabilities session. So to start off with OneHub, OneHub is a middleware solution we have built in order to integrate banks and business applications. So when I say business applications, we can look into ERP systems as well as any other applications that actually process payments. It could be HRIS systems, payroll systems, any payment related system. We can integrate it with OneHub, where OneHub will stand in the middle, and it on the other side, banks, all your banking applications will be also integrated. So think of it as a one platform where you can do all the business transactions that you want, from vendor payments to salary payments, any payment related things directly from the ERP system to the bank you can post, and from the bank's end you can get all the transaction details as well. So we have built it upon three main components. One is the fund transfers, and the next one is the transaction retrieval, and then integration capabilities, meaning that we can integrate OneHub with any ERP system or any business application, and as well as we have the APIs that we want to integrate. Moving forward, fund transfer. So as I said, OneHub is mainly built for fund transferring. Like for an example, let's take your ERP system. You can directly post those transactions that you want to make, and it will go through the OneHub directly to the bank. So it involves a process where you don't have to log into your business banking applications and over again, where you have to log into those applications, approve those payments, and do things like that. So directly from the ERP or the system that you are using, you can directly send the transactions. So we have the capability to connect multiple banks, as well as transactions will happen real time. All these transactions we are supporting regardless of SWIFT, SLIP, RTGS, as well as telegraphic transfers as well. And then there is another optional multi-level approval workflow, which I will explain to you in the coming up slides, where you can set up approval workflows, whoever who will be using OneHub, having their own required permissions, as well as an approval matrix, sort of, which it can be customized to your company, where has to approve this payment in order for it to be processed. So retrieve transactions is where from the bank, if you want to get the transaction status and the history as well as the account balance for your own all the accounts that you have, you can just simply log into OneHub and get all these details. So it's again removing the entire need for you to having to log into banking platforms, and have it as one screen where you can see the transaction status, if the transaction has now been processed, or if it has been rejected for some reason, and all with all these reasonings behind it, as well as you can pull the transaction history of your account and the account balance as well inside the platform itself. So like I said, previously, there is an authorization workflow we have built upon OneHub. So OneHub has three main user roles where you can have your users to set up according to these user types. For an example, let's say an enterer would be someone who can log into OneHub platform and view the transactions and assign these transactions for someone else to approve. So enterer will not be able to authorize these transactions. These transactions will be sent to an authorizer by the enterer. So in that case where the authorizer can log into OneHub and then assign then approve these transactions that have been sent to him by the enterer. And admin will be someone who can view the transactions and then also authorize users, and will have an overview of look at everything that is happening inside OneHub, as well as an audit log where you can see each and every user behavior, like which component the user has accessed at the very time, with the types tab as well. And moving on, the approval matrix, which I was to explain. So I feel like every company, they have their own approval matrix, and in terms of the banking mandates, everyone has an approval matrix where a few signatories has to approve that transaction in order for the transaction process. So we have built OneHub with an approval matrix module as well, where you can assign signatories based on the transaction amounts. For a transaction range, you can have one signatory, and for the other transaction range, you can have two or more signatories, as much as you want. And then if at any point, if a signatory is not available, a delegate can be substitute for these signatories as well. So this entire approval matrix is also working in an email flow. So for an example, I will show it in the demonstration as well in the video that I'm going to explain right after this. Once a payment has been posted from the ERP, it will directly go to the approver's email, where they can view the transactions that has been given to them, and then after that, using an OTP, they can approve those transactions, and then the transaction will be processed. So that approval matrix, which is like a post-op approval that can be followed from the bank's end, can also be set up in OneHub end for your additional requirements. And finally, for integration capabilities, so OneHub already supports Sage 300, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, as well as SAP B1. And banking partners, we have already integrated with the following banks: HSBC, Standard Chartered, Ceylon, HNB, Commercial Bank, Nations Trust, Sampath Bank, as well as DFCC. So at any point, if you see a bank which you are using and it's not in the list, we can communicate with the bank and then see how we can cater to your requirement as well. So that is a brief introduction to what OneHub does and how OneHub works. So I will now show you a simple recording where from the Business Central ERP, how the payments are directly going to an approver, and then that approver can approve those payments via an email. So this is the Business Central interface where you create a payment from the payment journal to a vendor of your own choice. So from here, you can set up it'll be the same procedure for other ERP systems as well, where how you raise a payment would be the same. So in this case, you apply the vendor entries from Business Central to that vendor where you need to make the payment. And then if I am to skip a little bit forward, so once you have posted the payment from the Business Central, that payment will now directly go to OneHub. So this is the interface of OneHub. Once you log into OneHub, we have these three submodules called transfers, status, and rejected. So under status submodule, you can see the transactions that have been parked. So it directly gets synced in real time. So you just have to go here and click the sync button. That's it, and it'll sync the transactions which have been posted from the ERP system. And if you go into that transaction, you can expand it, and then you can see who has to authorize this payment. So this is based on the approval matrix. So in here we have an approver, and it says that the approver hasn't approved that transaction yet. It's pending yet. And there is a timer that is also set. So you can, once this 4 minutes and 15 seconds, so we have set up for a 5 minutes time where you can resend an email again to that authorizer to approve that transaction. So now after viewing all that, you can log in to your email account. The authorizer can log into their email, and under their email, the transaction that is pending to be approved will be visible just like this. So what you have to do is you have to click review and approve transaction, and here it'll give a summarized version of the transaction details, from which bank account the payment is being processed to the vendor's bank account, and all the details, the payment type, the amount, things like that. And you just have to hit approve transaction here. And upon hitting approve transaction, you need to get a verification OTP code, which will then again come to your email as well. So you will get that email in real time again to your email. You just have to use that OTP and just approve the transaction. And once you log into OneHub again, after you sync the transactions, you can just expand and see that this transaction is in progress state. So in progress status means now it will in real time, it will take around maximum 10 seconds for the transaction to go to the bank and then to get the status back from the bank. But after that, the status will change back to complete. So that's pretty much it about how the approval matrix works for OneHub. And then I will open up the session for any questions and questions. If you have any, you can just ask from us with related to OneHub. You can unmute yourself and ask any questions if you have.
Hi, Zevin.
Hi, Shavin.
Yeah, Zevin, just a quick question. Can we approve transfers in a bulk? Is that a
Yes.
possibility in the system?
Yes. So
So we can
transactions.
send, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. So if you post bulk transactions in a single payment journal entry, you can directly view all those transactions, and then you can just approve them once.
Sorry, that was not my concern. So actually, if let's say there's like multiple transactions to different vendors, can we send one email for that person, the authorizer, to select and approve what is necessary? Is that possible?
So multiple transactions. Multiple transactions for single vendor. Is that Shavin or?
No, different vendors, different transaction, different vendors. Can we select those transfers? Let's say the authorizer or the enterer is selecting these transfers need to be transferred, or these transfers need to be authorized within the day. That person is selecting and sending to the approval. And can the approver also select from that and approve transfers?
Yes, so if the transactions are directly sent to an approver, and if the approver also wants to select which transactions that are needed to approve, then they can view it in the emails and just simply approve it. So that is possible.
Can it be sent through one email? Is that possible?
Yes, we can look into it, Shavin. Right now, how it works is so let's say from Business Central, if you post one single payment entry, that entry, so in the approval matrix, you can customize who has to approve that within the transaction range. So let's say if you are sending those payments within that range, whoever who has to approve will get an email and they can approve it those via the email. So let's say if you want to send a few as a bulk, you want to send a bulk payment for approval, you can send it, and then under the emails you can actually view which transaction needs to be approved, and you can just select the transaction to approve and then just go ahead and approve. That is there. Right now how it works is we just send one by one.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Hi, Kushan. Hello.
Hi. Yeah.
Kushan, will this OneHub will act as that AP officer? That means the payable officer. That means Okay, I understand that from the ERP, the OneHub pick all the payment entries based on the aging report. So what about the three-way matching? Before it goes to the authorizers, we need to do the three-way matching. You know that we have to do all the checkup in the documents. So is this can be done to OneHub?
Sorry, could you please repeat that for us?
Yeah. So through OneHub, can you replace the AP officer's work in the company? That means three-way matching. It is where we understood that from the ERP, the transactions are picked from the OneHub. But before it goes to the authorizers, for example, for the directors authorized, we need to do the three-way matching. Three-way matching means we have to check the invoice with the GRN and with the PO. So how this can be done before it goes to the authorizers? How the system will facilitate for this?
Okay, so I think to answer your question, I mean, that would still be a manual process because we can't really automate that because that happens at the ERP level. Now, at the ERP level, ideally what we expect is that the invoices and all of that have been checked before the payment has been set up on the ERP. So this is once that payment is set up, from there onwards, it moves to OneHub. So that is the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. I understand.
Because we can't do anything before the payment is set up on the ERP itself. So ideally, what happens is before the payment is being posted to GL, what we make sure is that from there onwards, the AP person's job reduces significantly because you don't have to go and set those payments up separately. You don't have to do your checks. You don't have to go into different banking platforms to make or set up those payments. Ideally, all of that is done on the ERP end, and from the ERP, we completely automate that. So there are two ways to do it, as Sabine explained. One is we can completely automate it. Let's say all the approvals have been done on the ERP itself. Then the transactions will go through real time to the bank. If you still want an approval layer, once it goes beyond that, then we can accommodate that too.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
Yes. So Minda, to answer your question, we can integrate Odoo with OneHub. Yes, we can integrate any ERP with OneHub.
Hi, Semin. One question. Can we have like multiple companies logged in at once through OneHub?
When you mean multiple companies, do you mean multiple companies on the ERP?
Yeah. Let's say if there's a group of company, so can we log in at once to OneHub or like similar to BC?
Yes.
Can that be accommodated?
So on BC, if you have set up multiple companies, let's say you have two companies, for example, we'll obviously have to set up the integration separately for each company, but we can have them flowing to the same interface. So let's say you have company A and company B. Those are the two companies that you select on the same tenant on BC. Then once you process those payments, we can have the reference for those in OneHub as well. Yes, that is.
Okay. Thank you.
Rohita, yes, we have already integrated an SMS gateway for OneHub, and obviously we can do whichever one that you need as well. Okay. So if there are no other questions, I mean, you can always put it up on the chat. We'll just, because we don't want to take up too much of your time, we'll quickly take you through how we prototype and build software. I mean, essentially, our core USP is to be able to build and deliver whatever it is that you want. So we'll show you something very relevant, at least in the finance domain. So we'll just take you through that right now to show you how quickly we prototype. In addition to that, we are just opening up something. We're trying this out, to be honest. So if you have a specific requirement, let's say anything at all, and you have thought of maybe a little app or platform that you really want to build, but you don't know how to go about it, please get in touch with us. What we will do for you is that we'll at least prototype it end to end so that you know what the user experience and the product is supposed to look like. This is obviously before we go into development. So we can prototype that to you. You can, test it out within your users. You can, get other people to look at it, even if it's customers. And then if you do want to move ahead with it, we can then move into development on a, separate note. But before that, we will do this for you as a part of, something we're offering during this webinar.
Yes, so we'll make use of 3 prompts, and let me copy paste the very first prompt. So essentially this prompt is for you to build an expense management app. So what we are going to do, what we have included in this prompt is you can ask for a project scope as well as the requirements that you may have. And you have given few user personas where it's a freelancer and a small business owner and the features that you need in the system. So we'll quickly just use this prompt. So just like that, the project scope is being given, and it includes everything that you require in order for an expense management web application basically to be built. So what we'll do is we'll use the next prompt where you can just simply develop a user interface to the prompt that you gave. So this will give you a fully functional prototype where you can just see the modules that is there in this expense management application, as well as everything that is being given in this scope as well. Yep. So the expense tracker has now been built, and it's a prototype where you can actually just see all the features that was given in the scope. Like you can add a description and an amount, a date, a category, and just simply create an expense, and then see all the recent expenses as well. So this is like a simple one-page application which just gave to your requirement itself. So the last prompt we will use is, let's just try to add another feature on top of this prototype that's already been built. So we are now just asking an AI-powered smart feature where you can just see and scan any receipts that you want, and then it'll directly feed into the system and track it as an expense. Yep. So now that feature has also been included. You can just click the scan receipt feature, and once you scan it, it'll directly again feed it to this add new expense as well. So that's pretty much it. That's how simple you can actually build a prototype based on any custom requirement that you have. You can start with the documentation on what are the exact requirements that you need, and then the structure of the data that you want, and as well as who has to use the system. You can get a simple one single interface where you can see everything that is included in that document, as well as if you want additional features, you could just ask and add any features as well. So I'll open the floor for any other questions that you have in terms of custom software, as well as if you have any questions with related to OneHub also, you could just ask.
Okay, I think why we wanted to show you this was, I know obviously one of the biggest things that we go through is obviously we can build anything that we need to, but getting the scope for it, having the time for it, that is the most, complex thing out of the lot. So what we can do is come in, we can listen to whatever that you may want to build, whatever problems that you may have, any pain points that you have, try and prototype it for you. And this is something that we can get done for you in a day or two, less than that, even if you're sitting with you and getting it done. So that's something that we're offering. So if any of you do want to, get something done, please let us know. Also, Rohit, your question: what is the cost mechanism for the software, which is for OneHub? So it's very simple. It's $6,000. That's a one-time payment, and you get 3 banks with that. In addition to that, you will pay $1,000 software assurance each year. Just make sure that we have it up and running all the time. That's the cost. Are there any other questions? Just opening it up for a couple of minutes. All right. If there are no other questions, I mean, please do feel free to reach out to us at any given point. We are always available. You can either reach out to Samin, me, or even anybody else on the team. So please do get in touch. Thank you so much for having us today, and thank you for your time. That's it.